Now look, we have been asking for something different when it comes to our WWE television, and if last night's Raw was anything to go by, I think they offered us that. And also, if you think you're going to see Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble, do I have some bad news for you? You may want to sit down and get comfortable for this week's episode of Ups and Downs, because, mini spoiler, you ain't getting it no more. My name is Simon, and this is WhatCulture Wrestling. Welcome to Ups and Downs. Let's up those downs. Vince McMahon arrived in a limo to start the show, and you'd probably think, well, that's not going to tie into anything that's going to happen later on, and you'd be damn wrong. This was deliberate foreshadowing, as the first person we saw in the ring was Braun Strowman, who got a pretty damn good pop, by the way, and he said all the things that you'd expect him to say. He's going to get these hands on Brock Lesnar come the Royal Rumble, and he also hasn't forgotten what the Beast did to him at, wait for it, WWE World Cup. Now look, I consider myself quite an ardent WWE fan, and I've never heard of the pay-per-view WWE World Cup. So it certainly looks like, well, two things. One, Braun Strowman got it wrong. I don't think that was the case because he said it with too much gusto. Or two, WWE has just changed the name of Crown Jewel, and I wonder why they do that. Baron Corbin then interrupted, and I really don't know why he did that. There was no information given to us, but it pissed Braun Strowman off so much, he chased that asshole backstage. Even threw a Singh brother as he tried to hunt down the former constable. And the really cool thing here, the really badass thing that WWE did, was they played around with camera angles. It was kind of like watching, I don't know, like a cartoon, because Braun Strowman ran off that way, and then the camera panned way to here, and that's where Elias was sitting, and he sang a little song saying, Braun, don't worry, Baron Corbin's in the limo. I mean, it was a lot better than that, but it made the backstage environment feel like some crazy place where wrestlers just lived. Like that a lot, it made me feel all goosey-boosey. Elias was right, and Baron had locked himself in that limo, so you know what Strowman did, being a big angry dude, he destroyed it with a pipe. Vince McMahon wasn't happy, said he was going to fine Braun $100,000. Braun, apparently being the car advocate and the car fan that he is, said it's not worth $100,000. So Vince said, all right, fine, you've just lost your opportunity at Royal Rumble against Brock Lesnar. You're out of here. This sent the monster absolutely loopy, and he flipped the limo upside down. You know why, because he has to do that once a year. He did it with the ambulance, then he did it with something else, the big truck. Now he's doing it with limos. I thought this was quite a good and a quite entertaining start to Monday night's TV when it comes to the wrestling world in WWE. That was grammatical nonsense, but all of it, it's getting a damn up. It was then Tamina and Nia Jax going against Sasha Banks and Ronda Rousey, and while I liked the effort and I liked what we were trying to do here, the story was ridiculous. It's getting a down. For starters, I just don't like Tamina and Nia Jax as a team. You can shoot verbal bullets at me should you so wish, but that's how I feel. And in the match itself, Glass coming to a movie theater near you this Friday. Don't know why I said that, but something in my brain said you should mention the movie Glass, and maybe you should mention it thousands of times over the next 3 hours. Anyway, after Sasha Banks had tapped out Tamina, we had an interview between Rousey and her challenger at the Rumble. And Ronda Rousey, like every single wrestler has done since the dawn of time, and every single fighter, be that boxing, MMA or whatever, went, Sasha, I'm going to beat you at the pay-per-view where we're going to have a match for my title. Sasha got mad at that because she felt like Ronda was disrespecting her. And yes, Sasha, she was disrespecting you because, you're the challenger, she's the champion, you're going after her belt, and because she is the champ, because she is the top dog, she believes that she's going to win. That is it. I mean, what do you think she's going to say? You think she's going to say, oh, Sasha's definitely going to beat me. In fact, here, take my gold right now. I don't want it. The reason it confused me so much is because they fell out over this. Genuinely, Sasha Banks marched up the aisleway. Ronda Rousey ran after her like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. Yes, you did, Ronda. She's the person you gotta beat. What are we doing? This got even more ridiculous because then their respective best friends, be that Natalya and Bayley, were arguing on their behalf. So Bayley was going, oh, that damn Ronda Rousey, and Natalie was like, oh, that damn Sasha Banks. I'm forgetting names now, but it was just, you never see anybody else do this. That's why it annoyed me. It was just, I don't know who wrote this, but it didn't sound like anything that anybody would actually say if they're about to have a fight. But What I will say is that I did enjoy this then tied in to make another match for Raw later on in the evening, because the Riot Squad arrived. They said, look at you, Natalya, look at you, Bayley, you're all falling out, so we're going to challenge you to a match, and you better go get a partner. So that bit, that was all cool. You're like getting the blocks in Jenga and pushing them together, and you take one out but nothing falls down. It was really fluid, but having wrestlers fall out because one thinks they're going to beat the other, that, my friends, to me at least, is absolutely ludicrous. Just snap back, Sasha, and say, I'm going to show you, because everything else here was good. It was just that one thing, pulled the rug out and it all came tumbling down like Jenga. And you wonder why I tied it in. Glass in cinemas Friday. In between this, we also saw a bunch of wrestlers queuing outside of Vince McMahon's office because they wanted to try and get the shot against Brock Lesnar. And then, for reasons again that we weren't told, Jerry Lawler just walked out, I guess because they're in Memphis and they wanted to get a cheap pop. They got it. It's another down too, because while WWE will get an E for effort, they're also getting a D for down. We had the Revival versus Lucha house party, but halfway through, we went to like a picture-in-picture setup so we could go backstage to see all the wrestlers queuing up outside of Vince McMahon's office that I just talked about. Various superstars were there saying why it should be them that takes up Brock Lesnar. We had Apollo Crews and the B Team, and Heath Slater, even though he was in the line, said he didn't want to fight Lesnar, so why he was there to begin with, I don't know. But then EC3 arrived, he walked up to a microphone, he looked at it, smiled, and then walked away. That's how he made his debut on Monday Night Raw. We then cut back to the ring, and the Revival actually won after Dash had pushed Grand Metalik's foot off the rope, because the Revival have been screwed over the last few weeks, and this was trying to balance the books. Look, again, E for effort, WWE. You tried something different, and I like that. And just because it didn't work, that doesn't mean you don't try again. You pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, keep throwing the ideas out there, because I still enjoyed it as it was different. But yeah, it was also very weird. Vince himself then decided to come to the squared circle to let us know what is going to happen in the Royal Rumble main event. Get it up. Before he could even utter a word, John Cena's music hit and he came out as well, and he reminded us that while Stone Cold Steve Austin abandoned the WWE, didn't really, while The Rock abandoned the WWE, didn't really, John Cena has never abandoned the WWE, and that's why he should fight Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble for the Universal Championship. And he also did that thing he did back in 2002, or whenever his debut was, and went, because I'm all about ruthless aggression. If you're a wrestling nerd like me, you would have enjoyed that because of nostalgia. Drew McIntyre arrived next, and he saw things very differently. Doesn't care what John Cena has to say and thinks that he should leave like the wrestlers he just mentioned, because it's Drew time. Now, Drew McIntyre didn't say it's Drew time, because if he had, that would have been the end of his character, because it sounds like a kid's TV show, but the point was, he is going to make 2019 Drew's time. He wants the shot too. The same happened with Baron Corbin and Finn Balor, and the latter especially was interesting, because he had some back and forth with Vince McMahon. He actually said, I know you've never believed in me, Vince, but the fans have. And right on cue, we all cheered, and that worked, because we getting Finn Balor over. Thanks, All Elite Wrestling. It then eventually descended into a big brawl with Drew McIntyre standing tall at the end, and Vince McMahon loved it so much he said, you four guys, you're going to compete in a fatal four-way to main event the show this evening, and whoever wins, you heading on to January 27th. That's right, January 27th. I think it's January 27th. I'm talking about the Royal Rumble. Also worth mentioning that apart from Cena, nobody had any entrance music when they did just come out, and I liked that a lot because one, it made it feel more real. You wouldn't get that in like the proper world that we live in, but also two, when they came out for their entrance in the main event, it was the first time you'd heard their music. I don't know, it was just a small little change. Put a smile on my face. There was one last twist, as after complimenting Vince McMahon backstage, said he was wearing a nice suit, Jinder Mahal managed to work his way into a match with Finn Balor, because Vince said, look, whoever wins between you two, that will be the fourth person in that main event. But don't worry, it all ends really nicely, like a fairy tale. We then had that 6 women's tag team match, and the mystery partner was Nikki Cross, and Michael Cole also let us know that the NXT call-ups will be on both Raw and SmackDown over the next couple of weeks as they vie for a signature. Am I right with that? Can have it up. And it was all good. Bayley got the pin on Liv Morgan after hitting the elbow, which confused me slightly because surely we should have given Nikki Cross the win here, or at least a visual of her getting a victory over somebody else. But I ain't going to get mad at it. She was fine. It was all fine. Hashtag fine. Another down though, as Lacey Evans was just shown standing backstage talking to Mickie James and talking to Dana Brooke. She wasn't even the focal point here because it was when Finn Balor was walking through the hallways. He stopped, he looked around, and he was like, oh, new person. And then he just carried on strutting his stuff. Now, I'm probably being a little bit harsh here, but this is not the way I think we should debut brand new people that have had video packages for around about 718 years. And I get it, I understand. You can't keep airing those videos. I was a little bored of them. But I don't know, the first time I saw EC3 was just meh. The first time I see Lacey Evans was just meh. If you don't watch NXT, and that's how they're presented to you, I don't know, it just takes something away from them, or at least I think so. It already makes them part of the ecosystem, and when you first arrive, you've got to be above the ecosystem, much like Kevin Owens. He interrupted John Cena, and then he beat him. That's badass. I want more badass. Dean Ambrose promo followed this. He doesn't want the IC triple threat match later, doesn't think it's fair, and he's really mad, but he will retain his gold. Can have it up. Finn Balor, the proverbial underdog, then beat Jinder Mahal to get back into that main event, and you're damn right he did. Getting it up. He overcame everything too. He was attacked during his entrance by Jinder Mahal. And of course, because the bell hadn't rung, that was just fine. Imagine that in any other sport. Imagine you're watching football or soccer, if you're American, and before the ref had blown his whistle, the other team just went and pummeled the opposition 11, but the commentator said, well, he hasn't blown his whistle, so if you want to go kick the schnoz out of them, you may as well. I would like that rule. Now I've said it out loud, it would make that game a lot more fun. And I like it as it is. Anyway, that aside, Finn also had to get round the Singh brother who hadn't been thrown over the table. And this was the Finn Balor we've wanted to see for so long. Kinda. The Finn Balor we actually want to see was there on NXT UK. If you didn't see that over the weekend, you should go back and watch it. But this was still a damn sight better than the Finn we've seen in, well, what, a couple of years on Raw? It was badass. Hence why I said it's getting it up. He hit the coup de grace. 1, 2, 3. You go get him, Balor. Bobby Lashley via Lio Rush then told us that Lashley will win the IC Championship later because that's what, and I quote, we needed. Now, I've never actually thought that I need to see Bobby Lashley with gold around his waist. It's not like I wake up in the morning and go, thank goodness I've got oxygen, and thank goodness Bobby Lashley's a champion. But anyway, that's what's going to happen later. Seth Rollins also spoke a few words before making his way to the ring for that encounter, and he basically ran down everything that's happened over the last few months, including everything with Roman Reigns, and you can do with that how you see fit. But that means it was Bobby Lashley versus Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins for the Intercontinental Championship, and my word, boy howdy golly whiz, Bobby Lashley won. He's your new champ. He's gonna get it up. The main story of the match was that Lio Rush kept getting involved, especially focusing on Seth Rollins, who kept trying to flick him away like a fly, but he could not. The ending we got too, because when Seth Rollins had all the momentum, he had all the power. Rush pulled down the top rope that allowed Seth Rollins to fall over. Bobby Lashley saw his opportunity, hit a really damn good spear on Dean Ambrose, pinned him, and that was that. Lashley, new champ. There was a real stupid bit when Ambrose and Rollins were actually teaming together to work over Bobby Lashley, and how can anybody take that seriously given what they've been through? But look, it was a very entertaining match. It was very fun. I actually kind of like the idea of Lashley being IC champ, especially because he celebrated like it meant something. But that means Dean has lost that belt less than a month after he won it. And I don't think anybody saw that. We were excited about Ambrose turning heel. Now we've got this. I'm really worried he's going to get jobbed out further. For some reason, we then caught Alexa Bliss naked. What? Why? I don't have a here's why. So instead, down. A stagehand was meant to be delivering her coffee backstage, and after he knocked on the door and she didn't answer, he went, well, I'm just gonna go in, because why not? And he found Bliss covering herself up with a towel. It's obvious why somebody did make this decision, and personally, I don't think we should go back there. This was, well, it was unnecessary and it was unneeded. We then got to this week's Moment of Bliss talk show, and I'm gonna wind that one guy up who always gets annoyed when I do this, but looking at the segment as a whole, we gonna go on a roller coaster. So, and up for the fact that we were told at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, in just 5 weeks, we are gonna crown the first ever WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. And I especially like this because they're gonna do it in the Elimination Chamber match itself. So you're gonna have 3 teams from Raw, you're gonna have 3 teams from SmackDown. Whoever survives, well done, you just got some brand new titles, which they showed on Raw. They look very nice. And it got me doubly excited because I kind of hope this is a catalyst that applies to all the belts. Because wouldn't it be so much better if we just had one champion that could go to both brands? Because I presume that is what the Women's Tag Team Champions are going to do. There's only one set of belts. And also, if we do that, it means when a new fan asks me, Simon, why are there two world champions? And I have to answer with, well, actually, no. One is a universal champion. And if there's just one, I don't have to look like a darn idiot, and it just makes that belt so much more important. Heyman was the guest here too, and it was all fine. He was putting over Brock Lesnar like he always does, and running down each of his potential challengers going, look, while they're all good, especially Drew McIntyre, he got put over super big. They ain't gonna beat Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is the best. If he was here right now, I'd give him a hug. I said that, not Paul Heyman. Then, however, Otis Dojovic, he of Heavy Machinery fame, for some reason, stumbled out onto the stage and started making noises. That's what he did. I'll leave that with you for just 1 second. Just remember what they did in the indie scene and what they did on NXT. That's how he debuted on Raw. Soon Tucker Knight came out and he started over-apologizing like both their jobs were on the line, and you already know this not only gets a down, but it gets a brown down. What on earth was this? And my first thought was, oh great, in 2019, we're gonna get an updated version of Jesse and Festus. And in no world do I need to say that. Also, I almost said Jesse and Fetus then. That is a completely different tag team. The point I'm trying to make is Heavy Machinery are two badass dudes that whip people's asses. Why is he like a bumbling weird fool? He actually stood there and just went, raw, raw, for about 30 seconds. And Paul Heyman and Alexa Bliss looked at him like he was an idiot. Screw that though, because it's main event time now and it's gonna get a golden up. That's right, no hyperbole, just thrown right in there like that, golden up. The big reason for that is because not only did Finn Balor win, meaning he is gonna fight Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble, but afterwards, John Cena raised his hand and said, you may not made a believer out of Vince McMahon, but you've absolutely made a believer out of me. And that's probably because, guess who Finn Balor got the visual pin over after the coup de grace? That's right, John Cena. He is probably going to get killed by Lesnar in a few weeks, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm living in the now. Aliens could come down tomorrow and shoot us all with laser guns, and you'd be like, oh, why did I worry about what was going to happen between Finn Balor and Brock Lesnar? Just enjoy it for what it is. And yeah, you can point out that before Balor did hit his finishing move, Cena had also been given a Claymore kick, so maybe we're going to get something with McIntyre and Cena. But again, I ain't going to sweat the small stuff. I'm just going to be happy that finally, after a whole year, Finn Balor finally gets his shot against Brock Lesnar. Unless those aliens do come, I think it's going to be a damn good match. The match was fun too, by the way. Baron Corbin went crazy with chair shots for a while, and there were plenty of shocks and surprises to keep you on your toes, and all of that came together, for my money, to make up a really entertaining episode of Monday Night Raw. 3 hours is always difficult, I know, we talk about that, but this breezed by as quickly as 180 minutes can. It also made me excited about the future, and I like being excited, because it means I'm not sad. Don't want to be sad, do want to be excited, that's where I am right now. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's Raw. Like, share, and subscribe. Head on over to WhatCulture.com, read yourself some articles. Follow WhatCulture on Twitter, at WhatCulture WWE. And you're already here, you're on WhatCulture Wrestling. Go and watch yourself some brand new videos, and old ones too. Don't know what I'm doing with my fingers. My name is Simon Miller. You've been watching WhatCulture Wrestling, and I'll see you in around about 24 hours time when we up those downs for Smack-a-Down. Let my neck click. Getting old.